What's up, guys? It's your boy Justin here with another JRPG game review. Today we're reviewing Star Ocean Till the End of Time. This is the Director's Cut edition, which came with the greatest hits. Which I heard, according to Google, previous versions of this game was not playable on like later editions of the PS2. I don't know if the greatest hits version had that same problem. I have no idea. By the way, this game still, I don't know if the greatest hits version goes for relatively cheap, but the other day I saw this game for like 20-30 bucks, and I would say it's pretty worth it. So this game originally came out 2003, sorry. And I guess the English version came out in 2004. This is developed by Tri-Ace, who developed the other Star Ocean games. And this is published by Square Enix. This is an action JRPG, which takes place 400 years after the events of Star Ocean 2. And apparently, this game, I watched a retrospective, and this game takes place at the end of the Star Ocean timeline. Every game that came out after this game takes place before, and there is probably a reason why, and you find that out at the end of or I wouldn't even say at the end of the game. Like, I would say maybe the halfway point of the game. Which this game, holy crap! How long to beat? Said this game takes 40 to 60 hours to beat. I don't even want to tell you how long it took me to beat this game. It is frankly kind of embarrassing, though I do like to grind in JRPGs, which this game, very grind heavy near the end, which, screw it took me 97 hours to beat the game. And holy crap! Well, like there was like an hour of cutscenes after the credits, man. Well, it wasn't an hour, but it was like 45 minutes. Which, by the way, I promised. I said I would beat this game in February, and I kept that promise. So, drop a like for your boy. Okay, so the game story is about Earthling named Fate Line God. I always thought it was Line Gold, but it's Line God, who is on a resort planet on vacation with his childhood friend, which he's a college student, and he's there with his parents, who are symbiotic scientists. A war breaks out between the Federation and the alien Vandini, and our main characters get separated. Fate gets stranded on an underdeveloped world that's also fantasy themed, only for him to get rescued by a member of an anti-Federation organization called Quark, which he gets rescued by this guy, Cliff, who's probably one of my favorite main characters of this game. Which I forgot to mention, the director's cut comes with 2 additional playable characters, and also comes with a fighting game mode. And also a bunch of other stuff, which you can read at the back. So he gets rescued by Cliff, and gets told that his parents were kidnapped by the Vandini, and Fate needs to come with Cliff to rescue his parents, only for them to get stranded on another medieval kind of fantasy world where they get caught up in a war between 2 rival nations, where they have to help them, where they're forced to help one side against the other by this female ninja rogue called Nell Sephir, only for outside forces to show up, and that they're the main bad guys of the game that don't really show up until like the 3rd act, which they're a mysterious new enemy, that look like angels and giant flying dragon ships. Which there's a badass cinematic in the game where our main characters, before those guys showed up, the Vendini show up on the planet, and our main characters had to develop a symbological weapon, which symbology is like basically what they call their magic in the game, where they mounted two cannons on a giant dragon and used the mounted dragon with the two cannons on its back to fight against the spaceships, which was a pretty cool scene and very much reminded me of Duel Masters. If anybody remembers that Wizards of the Coast Yu-Gi-Oh clone, which I was like the only one at school who collected the Duel Masters cards. But fuck, man, they had some awesome monster designs. Holy shit. They're probably a little too scary for kids. Which, if you haven't played the Duel Masters PS2 game, it's actually pretty good. Though it was obviously not developed by Japanese developers, but the CGI animations look good. Back to this review. So, there's a lot about this game I can't talk about without spoiling some stuff that happens here, which I'm going to need to talk about because holy shit, I couldn't fucking believe what, no wonder this game takes place at the end of the fucking timeline. Because how do you top what they did? And what they did, it doesn't even work for what kind of franchise game series this is, which is basically a combination of Final Fantasy meets Star Trek, which is fucking dumb. Which is why Star Ocean: The Last Hope, even though people hate that game, is probably my favorite of the Star Ocean games because it kept with the sci-fi. You know, you're supposed to be a sci-fi RPG, like. It keeps with the sci-fi, you know, genre and tone, which, again, this game starts off with a pretty cool kind of plot, but then most of the game gets sidelined when you're stuck on this fantasy world, like stuck in a war, which I get that's what Star Ocean games are. But fuck, man, I want, like, for sci-fi RPGs, like the Star Ocean games will always be like the second best runner-ups compared to the best sci-fi RPG franchise of all time, which is Xenosaga, and maybe Dot Hack is second, though Dot Hack is more cyberpunk. Though, holy fuck, what they did, the plot twist, they should have saved that, like, someone should have. They should have that would have works in like something like Dot Hack. Doesn't fucking work here. Oh my god, which I can't talk about without spoiling. So I'm gonna just talk about my likes and dislikes with the game without spoiling anything. Which I actually do like this game, despite the fucking bullshit that where the game gets super grind heavy near the end of the game. Holy shit! Which apparently people online say you only need to be level 50 or 60 to beat the game. Bullshit, unless you fuckers were using guides. I was at level 75, and the fucking final boss kept bodying me, man. Bodying me. Like, holy fuck, man. I had to beat the game. When the game gets super tough, you're best just switching to one of the mage characters, which, there's Sophia. She's one of the mage characters, which I prefer the Aldre. Which I don't think is he here? I think he's one of the bonus characters. That guy. That guy was probably the best mage in the game. But because he leaves the party for like a while, it was like for like for a good section of the game, I was forced to use Sophia. But yeah, I'll go into my likes and dislikes for the game. My likes, lots of VO. Steve Cannon does a great job as Fate. Huge cast of characters. I especially love the badass mage Adre, who was who looks like a shirtless samurai guy, who actually wields a katana, but who was considered one of the best swordsmen in the kingdom, but because of injury, he was forced to become a mage, basically, which reminds me of the dad character from one of my favorite Wii RPGs, which I don't have a lot of favorite Wii RPGs. Dragon Quest Swords. What was the game? What was the subtitle? Tower of the Masked Queen or some shit. That's actually a good game, but super short. Holy fuck, man! They just like that the dad from like Dragon Quest Swords. Interesting premise. Pretty good crafting system, even though I barely used the fucking thing. I was forced to use it at the end of the game, though. There's an index, good music, really good cinematics, and the combat, though a little jank, is fun. I like grinding the game. Dislikes: no world map for a game where you constantly have to go back and forth to different places, which there kinda is in the invention info subtitle, where you can see where the different towns are in relation to each other. But yeah, there's no real world map in the fucking game for a game that really fucking needed one. Holy shit. Which, by the way, this is Welsh's first appearance. Though I don't understand how the fuck Welsh can be in all these different games when they take place hundreds of years between each other. I guess it's like she's not a real character, I guess. It's just bullshit, like, you know. Whatever. Which she doesn't join the party, by the way. She's part of the Invention Guild. Where was I? Combat is awkward at times. Sometimes the game doesn't allow you to save between boss fights. You die when your MP hits 0. Well, technically you don't die, but you get incapacitated, but if all of your characters get incapacitated, you die. Which is like, have I ever fucking played a game where if your MP runs 0, you die? This is the only one that comes to mind. I couldn't believe that shit. I thought it was some kind of status ailment or something, because it kept, it's like, holy shit. I put 2 and 2 together because it would only happen to Fate, which there's character building in the game, just like in Star Ocean 2, in the Star Ocean 6, where like you get SP every time you level up. You get SP, and you can increase some of your stats. So obviously Fate is an attacker, so I didn't really put points into his MP. Only when I realized, oh fuck, if your MP runs out, you die. It's like, Jesus, because there are attacks that will attack not just your HP but your MP. Fucking bullshit. Where was I? Endgame becomes a grind fest. Huge difficulty spike. The game was super easy, where honestly I had more of a harder time with certain enemies than I did with bosses. The bosses were relatively easy, only till like the end of the game where the bosses kind of get hard. Which at that point you're better off just playing as one of the mage characters, and just spamming buffs, spamming healing spells, spamming debuffs. Though I don't that shit I don't even think works on the fucking bad guy. The bosses. The game freezes at times, though I've only ever had the game freeze on disc 2, which just has 2 discs, by the way. It never really froze on me on disc 1. It was mostly when I started playing disc 2 where I started to encounter the game freezes. Also, the loading times kind of suck in this game. But that could be my PS2, I don't know. Dumb character AI. There are times where the characters will just... Your characters in battle will just fucking stand around doing nothing. And I would think, oh, maybe I accidentally set them to manual, which why the fuck would that be an option? I guess maybe when you're trying to level up the lower level characters, if they're standing around, they're less likely to do dumb shit to get themselves killed. But like, holy shit, like, even when they're on automatic, sometimes they'll just stand around doing fucking nothing. It's like, what the fuck? Get into the fight, people. Holy fuck. The plot twist was super dumb. Weapon models. Weapons are mostly the same except for some very rare weapons. Well, they'll actually change the model of the weapons. No subtitles for cinematics. Huge plot holes. 7 out of 10. By the way, what the fuck happened to Fate's parents? That was a question mark I had. So now we're going to get into the plot twist. So the plot twist is they obviously watched The Matrix. And it turns out the bad guys who call themselves the creator, the executioners that were sent by the creator, turns out to be... You find out that they're basically the simulation theory, and everybody all in the Star Ocean universe, it's all a simulation, and they were getting attacked by programs from the coders because they developed technology that could potentially be a threat to the coders, like people from the real world. So our characters have to somehow Fate's dad and his scientist friends, using genetic manipulation, creates Fate and genetically alters 2 other kids, which is Sophia and Maria, to battle the creators. It's like, what the fuck? This shit does not belong in your space opera fucking fantasy game, man. Because it's like, oh, no wonder there's so many different alien races. There's magic and there's monsters and demons and shit and aliens in this universe. Because it's all fucking fake bullshit. That's like basically entertainment for the fucking people from the real world. Which would have been nice if we found out, hey, do you guys, in the people in the real world, do you have space travel? Do you have like all different alien races? Or is that just in our fucking world? Our fake fucking world. Holy fucking shit, man. That shit does not... Simulation theory is cool when I first heard about it. Until I realized, I put some deep thought into it. And like, yeah, it's fucking bullshit. It's just like, you know, demoralization, propaganda, or whatever. I don't fucking know. One, it's like, or it's some bullshit where it's like, there's so much evidence out there that God exists or some kind of intelligent design is out there in the universe. So it's like atheists have to cope by saying, oh no, God, it's a simulation. That's why, that's what simulation theory is. It's like atheists, coping that the real world, that there's signs of intelligent design in everything from nature to like everything, right? Biology, all that shit. So it's like they have to create this like simulation theory that's basically, okay, yeah, God's real, but God's really a programmer, right? It's like, get the fuck out of here with that shit. Oh my god. Oh, I couldn't believe that shit. Oh my god! If you're an atheist, that's okay. I'm more of an agnostic, really. But it's just like I grew up very religious, so whenever there's like anti-religious shit, I kind of find it cringe. But it's like, I'll also find pro-religion stuff cringe as well. But it's like, holy shit, man! Like the simulation theory, like, comes off really dumb when you put it... Like, it works if you were... Like, Xenosaga, even though I would have hated if they did it in, like, sci-fi RPGs like Xenosaga or, like, Dot Hack, that shit would have worked there, but, like, here it doesn't work when you have, like, you know... when you're, like, your Star Trek Final Fantasy fucking mix fucking thing. This is why you shouldn't mix certain genres, man. Oh my god. Although I like sci-fi fantasy, our next book review is a sci-fi fantasy book, which I'm going to take a week off comic reviews to read that book, but holy fuck. I couldn't believe this fucking shit. No wonder this game takes place at the end of the timeline. I kind of wish, by the way, this game is considered the second best Star Ocean game. You can figure out which one's considered the best one. But it's like, holy fuck. Like, I kind of have no interest in playing the other Star Ocean games now, other than The Last Hope, because, that's the first one I ever played, and I kind of want to go back to beat it. Because I couldn't, because I only had I had a 360 copy, which was scratched, and wouldn't work. But, like, holy fuck, man, I couldn't believe this fucking shit. Oh my god, man. It's still good. It's a good game, but it's like, holy fuck, dude. By the way, it's very guide heavy, and there's lots of annoying puzzles in the game. I don't know if I mentioned that. And it's very cryptic at times. Like, the puzzles will be easy to solve. It's just like cryptic of what the fuck are you supposed to do to solve the puzzles. Like, holy fucking shit. And there was this one thing where I was stuck in the game because you need a light source to see something. And I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to use as a light source? My guy has a fucking communicator, which is basically like the fucking cell phone. There's no like flashing. He can't use the flashing screen to read the fucking stone tablet. I had to equip a thing called a light stone, which I didn't even know I fucking had. I guess a random endling just dropped it. Holy fuck. But yeah, it's a good game. But it's like, holy fuck, man. That plot twist did not work with this cooking game, man. Oh my god. But it's like, yeah, all of our universe is fake as fuck. Go out and play more Star Ocean games. Like, this should have been the last fucking Star Ocean game, to be honest. Holy fuck. Oh my god. I kind of have no interest to play the other Star Ocean games. Like, yeah, they're all fucking AI. They're not real people. Alright, guys. Our next game review is probably going to be Final Fantasy IV, but I'm also started playing Trails of Cold Steel 3. So, we'll beat it when we beat it. Peace out.